Do you know what would happen if Walmart stopped holding prices down? The answer is a storm of higher costs would sweep through the shopping carts of millions of American families, and it's starting right at the place once seen as the last line of defense for the working class. Walmart, the symbol of low-cost shopping, has just warned about another wave of food price hikes on a massive scale hitting the most essential items: meat, milk, vegetables, cooking oil. What makes it even worse is that there's no cheaper alternative left. Behind that announcement is a quiet crisis spreading across supermarkets, stores, and kitchen tables nationwide.
There's no meat, no toilet paper. It's just crazy.
And if you live in a place that depends heavily on Walmart, you'd better be prepared. In this video, we'll look at 7 regions facing the most severe food crisis risks in America, now that Walmart is no longer holding the line on prices. Number 1, Mississippi. If there is one place to begin when talking about America's food crisis, Mississippi is almost impossible to leave out. Can you guess which state's residents spend the largest share of their income just to cover daily groceries? It's not California and it's not New York. It's Mississippi, a state where the overall cost of living is low, but paradoxically the cost of food is so high that people have to think twice about every carton of milk and every dozen eggs. According to Wallet Hub, people in Mississippi are now spending the highest percentage of their monthly income on food in the entire country. And that figure doesn't even include the upcoming Walmart price hikes. This is no small burden, especially for those living on fixed retirement checks or for families already struggling to juggle electricity bills, insurance payments, and other essential costs. Do you remember going grocery shopping just a few years ago? $50 could fill an entire cart with fresh produce, meat, milk, eggs, and daily essentials. Today, with that same $50, many families have to choose between buying meat or milk. They can't afford both. In Jackson, the state capital, the average price for a dozen regular eggs has already climbed past $4. A gallon of cooking oil that once cost under $7 is now nearly $11. These numbers are quietly slipping out of reach for both middle-class households and retirees alike. What makes the situation even more alarming is that Walmart isn't just the biggest retailer in Mississippi. In many small towns, it's the only one, which means when Walmart raises prices, people here have nowhere else to go. No Trader Joe's, no Whole Foods, no alternatives. Just a price tag that keeps climbing and a wallet that keeps shrinking. Pause for a moment and imagine this. You're a 72-year-old retiree living in the suburbs of Tupelo on a monthly pension of $200. After paying utilities, medications, and car insurance, you're left with less than $300 for food for the entire month. In the past, that might have worked, but today, you'd run out halfway through the month. And the scary part is this is no longer rare. Many people have already had to change how they eat just to get by, cutting out red meat entirely, switching from fresh milk to powdered, buying canned goods in bulk instead of fresh vegetables. Local food banks report that the number of people signing up for assistance has doubled in just the last 2 quarters. Some families are even thinking about leaving Mississippi for states with a lower cost of living. But not everyone can, especially retirees who are rooted in their community and accustomed to the climate here. Leaving would mean losing a way of life. Walmart was once seen as a lifeline, the place that kept rural communities connected to affordable essentials. But if even Walmart can no longer hold back the pressure of rising costs, then who is left to help those at the very bottom of the income ladder? The question isn't how much higher will food prices go. The real question is, how many families in Mississippi can actually survive if Walmart follows through on its warning? And if you live in Mississippi or have family, do you feel this situation has already gone beyond being just temporary? Number 2, Arkansas. There is a bitter irony that has many people in Arkansas furious living in the home state of Walmart, working for the biggest retailer in America, yet still not being able to afford a cart of groceries from the very company they serve. Sounds absurd, right? But that is the reality playing out every single day in hundreds of towns and small cities across this state. Arkansas isn't just where Walmart has its headquarters in Bentonville. It's also where the company's influence is nearly absolute over the lives of millions. From prices to jobs to shopping habits, Walmart is woven into the daily rhythm here. And when Walmart threatens to raise prices, it feels like a slap in the face to the very people who built its success. Picture this: a warehouse worker at Walmart in Springdale, where summer heat can soar above 100 degrees, hauling hundreds of heavy boxes every day. After taxes, their monthly paycheck is under $2,000. Now, that same grocery basket with rice cooking oil milk and ground beef costs more than $60 extra compared to just 2 months ago. This isn't just a story about prices. It feels like betrayal. A betrayal from a system that once proudly promised everyday low prices for America's working people. What makes it sting even more is that Walmart continues to post quarterly profits, beating Wall Street expectations. So why can't they keep the price of a gallon of milk or a bag of rice stable? Why are the very people sweating in the supply chain the first ones forced to suffer when costs go up? If you're a parent trying to keep 3 meals on the table, you know the lump in your throat when you have to tell your child, we can't afford the kind of meat you like this week. You don't need anyone to explain it for you. That sinking feeling at the checkout line says it all. And this isn't the first time Arkansas has felt abandoned by the very system it helped build. For years, the state has ranked among the lowest in average wages, while food and basic living costs have climbed faster than in many other regions. Some once believed living near Walmart would at least cut their cost of living. But now, think back to 2020 when the pandemic left shelves empty. Walmart in Arkansas was proud to be among the first to restore its supply chain. But by 2025, that same Walmart is quietly adjusting prices in a way no one asked for, silently and without warning. More and more residents in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and Little Rock have started shifting to farmers markets and smaller stores. Not because prices are better, but simply to avoid the feeling of being controlled by a monopoly. And then you start to hear the whispers spreading, are we being sacrificed just to protect corporate profits? Those questions may never make the headlines, but they echo in the minds of mothers staring at empty milk shelves and fathers finishing their shifts only to budget every can of tuna. If you live in Arkansas, you feel this more than anyone. You don't need TV reports, you don't need analysts. Just look at your grocery receipt after each trip, and you'll see the wave rising not only against your wallet, but against your trust in the system itself. And the real question is, how much longer will Arkansas hold on? How much longer before eroded trust turns into real action? Number 3, Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky and family dinners are still something you cherish every night, this might be the time to start. Stocking up. Not because of the end of the world, not because of a natural disaster, but because the simplest ingredients, flour, yeast, cooking oil, white sugar, are slowly turning into strategic supplies. Recently at a farmer's market in Lexington, a handmade pastry seller shared that they had to cancel cookie orders for 2 local schools, simply because they couldn't afford flour and butter at a reasonable price. It may sound like a small story, but it reflects something much bigger. Even food producers themselves are pulling back. For a long time, Kentucky has kept its unique identity: home-cooked meals, traditional recipes passed down through generations, family gatherings around the kitchen. But all of that is starting to shake. Not because people are changing their lifestyle, but because cooking ingredients are slipping out of reach. The price of a bag of regular flour has gone up by nearly $1 in just 2 months. A 4-pound bag of white sugar is up 20%. Cooking oil can no longer be found under $7 like earlier this year. You might think it's just a few bucks, but for those buying in bulk to cook every day, those few bucks quickly add up to something serious. Imagine you're a mother of 2 who loves making homemade sandwich bread to keep breakfast healthier and cheaper than fast food. Every week you buy 2 bags of flour, 1 large bottle of oil, and a bag of sugar. Now that routine costs you almost $10 more each week. That's nearly $40 more each month. And here's the kicker: you're cooking the same way you always have, but the money leaving your wallet keeps climbing. Walmart, the main supplier of most baking and cooking essentials in Kentucky, has just announced the likelihood of nationwide price increases due to runaway input costs. And if that happens, the people living by their pots and pans will be the first ones to feel crushed. Another quiet reality is unfolding small stores in Bowling Green and Owensboro report shortages of items like yeast baking powder and cream of tartar. Not because the supply chain is broken, but because demand is spiking. People are starting to stockpile. Some are even investing in vacuum seal bags, Mylar pouches, and heat sealers. Tools once only seen in DIY or prepper communities. What does this tell us? That trust in food price stability is cracking. And for those who pour their heart into every home-cooked meal, from homemakers to hobby bakers, nothing cuts deeper than having to lower ingredient quality simply because you can't afford better. Kentucky is not a wealthy state, but its people are known for thrift and resourcefulness. Yet when every kind of cooking ingredient climbs in price, and Walmart, once the anchor for household budgets, is preparing another round of increases, even the best planners are starting to lose confidence. You may not be a cook, you may not even enjoy baking, but if you ever believed that home cooking was the cheapest, safest option, then now is the time to ask yourself, is there still anything left that self-reliant consumers like us can truly control? Number 4. Louisiana. Do you remember the last time you could go grocery shopping without checking your bank balance after every item? In Louisiana right now, that feeling has almost disappeared. And what people here are facing is not just high food prices. It is a clear, cold, undeniable injustice. When low-income residents are paying nearly the same prices as wealthier, more populated, and more prioritized regions. This is a state with one of the largest communities of black workers and immigrants in the South, where life was already a struggle. But now, in supermarkets from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, everyday staples like rice beans, sausage, and cooking oil, foods deeply tied to this region's culture, are climbing in price without breaks. A medium bottle of hot sauce, a staple in every Louisiana kitchen, has gone up by more than $1 in just 1 quarter. Cheap chicken isn't cheap anymore. And what really makes people boil is this: prices keep rising, but product quality is not improving. Walmart, the state's largest retailer, recently faced local backlash when many bulk products were suspected of quiet price hikes or hidden changes in quantity. A canned fish that used to be 7 ounces is now 5.5. A bag of 10-pound rice has been reported to weigh less than what the label says. And before people even had time to react, Walmart quietly posted a sign, "Rising input costs force us to adjust prices." That was it. So, what does it mean when the very place that once served as a lifeline for low-income families is now the biggest source of price pressure? And worse, no one in state leadership seems to care enough to speak up. Rising food costs have sparked a small but noticeable wave in Louisiana's online communities. People are seriously discussing leaving the state. Some compare grocery prices in Mississippi. Others ask about the cost of living in Alabama. Some groups are even researching what it would take to move to Mexico or Costa Rica. It's not that they want to abandon their home. It's that they feel they are being pushed out by the cold numbers on supermarket price tags. If you've lived in Louisiana long enough, you know its people have a deep sense of community. They love to cook together, share ingredients, and pull through hurricanes and pandemics side by side. But now they are up against something harder to see. A storm of unrestrained free markets where buyers have no bargaining power and sellers owe no explanations. Did you ever think there would come a day when Louisiana, a place famous for warmth and rich food culture, would become a place where people have to cut back on flavor simply because they can't afford spices? And if you're living here, ask yourself, how long before people's patience turns into real action? Number 5. New Mexico. There are signs no one talks about out loud, but if you pay close attention, you'll feel them right away. New Mexico is sliding into a serious shortage, not because of natural disasters or war, but because of the quiet breakdown of the mass food supply chain. Have you walked into a Walmart in Santa Fe or Las Cruces lately? If so, did you notice the strangely empty shelves in the canned goods aisle? The frozen food section, or where the dry staples usually are. No notices, no explanations, just products gone. What's even stranger is that people aren't talking about it nearly enough. But those with experience, especially the older generation who lived through the inflation wave of the late 70s, recognize a familiar feeling when products start disappearing. Prices never go back to where they were. New Mexico has a high population of retirees, and many of them live on fixed budgets. No extra income, no bonuses, no side jobs. They rely on federal pensions and fixed benefits. If prices suddenly spike, or worse, if items simply vanish, they have no way to adjust. In Albuquerque, community groups more and more posts are popping up, asking where can I still find this brand of formula, or does anyone know where to buy at the old price? People are sharing tips on food preservation, learning how to store rice and beans in Mylar bags, how to stockpile cooking oil and spices in sealed containers. A trend that just 1 or 2 years ago many dismissed as overreacting. Now nobody thinks it's strange anymore. When Walmart warns about possible price hikes due to rising shipping costs and raw material shortages, it's places far from distribution hubs, like New Mexico, that feel the pinch first. Some skeptics have even begun asking tough questions. Why does Walmart keep funneling supplies to major cities like Dallas and Denver while leaving small towns in New Mexico to deal with shortages? Is this just cold profit prioritization, where only high-revenue markets are guaranteed full shelves? If you live in New Mexico, you've probably felt it already. Every grocery run isn't about picking the best, but about finding what's still there. It's a quiet kind of anxiety, eating away day by day. You don't need to be an economist to know this when the supply chain chokes. At the start, it's the consumer who takes the hit at the end. And in New Mexico, the real question isn't how much will it cost anymore, but will it even be available? Have you ever wondered if Walmart cuts back stock and the smaller stores can't keep up then? Where will New Mexicans turn for food 6 months from now? Number 6. Texas. Texas, once proud of being the land that never bows in times of crisis, is now quietly feeling the sting of rising food prices. And this time, it's not just the small towns far from the center. Even busy suburbs like Plano, San Antonio, and Houston are starting to see pockets of shortages and strange price gaps. Have you ever gone to 3 different Walmart stores in the same week and noticed the exact same item with 3 different prices? That's what thousands of families in Texas are facing every day. And no, it's not because of sales or discounts. Walmart is automatically adjusting prices by area based on consumer behavior. The higher the income in an area, or the closer it is to a major city, the higher the price. A bag of frozen vegetables, a box of breakfast cereal, each can quietly go up by a few extra cents unevenly and without warning. And shoppers are never told why. Families that used to live comfortably on a $400 to $500 monthly grocery budget now feel like they're going to battle every time they shop. From hunting for deals, splitting up purchases, even driving further, just to save 50 cents on milk, they're forced into daily trade-offs. And it's this uneven pricing that's slowly building frustration. Nobody likes the feeling of being scanned by the system just to squeeze out more money. This is the moment you should start thinking seriously about protecting your family's food budget. You don't have to be a hardcore prepper, but if you can carve out a little time each week to stock up on dry goods, repackaged frozen foods, or take advantage of discounts to build a longer-term pantry, you'll be more prepared when Walmart suddenly hikes prices across the board. Texas isn't short on farmland nor on local produce, but Walmart and the other big distributors still control the supply chain. And once they decide to prioritize shipping to higher profit states, people in Texas, no matter how large the population, no matter how strong the buying power, we'll just have to wait their turn. Do you see it happening? Days when shelves are stripped bare with only a few unwanted items left? Weeks when you've had to rewrite your family meal plan because a staple item suddenly costs $2 more? Texas still has its own rhythm of life, but there's no room for complacency anymore. That old confidence of we're big, we're not afraid is fading. In its place is a sharper, angrier question. Why should consumers be the ones paying the price for supply chain chaos and corporate profit games? And if you live in Texas, maybe it's time to ask even tougher questions. Should we keep letting Walmart decide how much tonight's dinner will cost? Or is it time to take back a little control? Starting with the grocery cart in our own home. Number 7. Alabama. Alabama has long been seen as a place off the radar. Quiet, unhurried, simple. But that has now turned into a disadvantage as Walmart restructures its supply chain and prioritizes higher profit regions, leaving states like Alabama to deal with whatever is left. Picture this: a 67-year-old grandmother in Dothan, living alone on her pension, goes to Walmart at the start of the month to buy groceries for the week. Milk, eggs, pasta beans. But the shelves only have a few scattered items priced higher than usual. The choices are fewer, the money is the same. In the end, she has to put 2 items back just to keep her budget from breaking. No one should ever have to choose between what they need and what they can afford. And this is when you really need to think, if you live in Alabama and rely on Walmart, it may be time to diversify where you shop. Small farmers markets, local stores, even community buying groups. They may cost a little more, but what you get in return is supply stability and less manipulation from invisible pricing algorithms. Alabama isn't short on resourceful people. But have you noticed how many around you are quietly running out of options? People who once cooked meals every day are now switching to instant noodles, simply because traditional ingredients are slipping out of reach. People who once prided themselves on being frugal are now quietly cutting dishes from dinner. It's painfully ironic that this land, which once fed generations of Americans through honest farming and labor, is now a place where people must ration and compromise in the face of ruthless price hikes. On online forums in Montgomery or Huntsville, people are starting to talk about moving out of state, selling the house, finding somewhere cheaper to live. Not because they're chasing a dream, but because they can no longer see a future in a place where even basic groceries are increasingly out of reach. Do you feel that Alabama is being left behind? Not on the map, but in the distribution priority list in a market system that always puts efficiency above people. And if you once believed Walmart would help you get through the toughest times, the real question now is when prices spike. Without explanation, is anyone still on your side? 7 states, 7 different stories. But they all end the same way: ordinary people paying the price for decisions beyond their control. When Walmart, once seen as the last line of defense for working-class budgets, raises the white flag to price volatility, no one is truly safe anymore. This is no longer just the struggle of a few small communities. It is the sign of a distribution and pricing crisis quietly eroding the resilience of millions of American families.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.